All right, folks, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the world of web hosting.
Always a fun one.
It is, and it can get kind of confusing out there.
It can.
So many options.
Yeah.
But today we're focusing on two big names, Bluehost and SiteGround.
Those are the big ones.
Right.
A lot of people are trying to figure out, which way to go with these two.
Absolutely, and it's like standing at a fork in the road, right?
Uh,
Like both will get you to where you need to be, which
Yeah.
is to have a website. But
the paths are a bit different.
yeah, the journey's going to be a little different.
Mhm.
So let's break it down. What do these services actually offer? And who are they each trying to reach?
Yeah, so Bluehost, it's almost like they want to be your friendly neighborhood guide to the internet.
Right. Right.
Like they really make it easy to get a website up and running, and I think they especially focus on beginners. They've got that really streamlined interface, and they offer things like one-click WordPress installation.
So it's like if someone's starting their first blog, or maybe a small business owner who's, just getting online for the first time,
That's exactly who they're going for.
Bluehost is making it less intimidating.
Absolutely.
You take care of all that techie stuff behind the scenes.
The stuff you don't want to have to worry about.
Exactly.
So you can just focus on creating your content and getting your message out there.
Okay, so that's Bluehost, very beginner friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about SiteGround? Are they catering to a different type of user?
Yeah, I would say SiteGround is more for the people who need a bit more power.
Okay,
Like maybe businesses that are starting to grow a lot,
right.
or websites that are already getting a lot of traffic,
Okay.
or even just people who want to have a lot more control over how their website works,
I see.
especially when it comes to things like speed and security.
So SiteGround is less about hand-holding and more about giving you the tools to really fine-tune everything. Okay, so we've got Bluehost, sort of the easy route, and SiteGround, more for the control freaks.
Well, I wouldn't say control freaks, but
The people who want more control.
you want the power,
Yeah.
yeah. And they're known for their speed, their reliability, their
Uh,
security features.
So they're really serious about those things. Okay, but there's always a trade-off, right?
Mhm.
There's got to be some downsides to each platform.
Oh, for sure.
So what are we looking at? What are the cons?
Well, with Bluehost, like you said, it's simple to get started,
Right.
but you might run into some limits with performance as your website grows.
So if you're just starting out, it's probably fine.
Yeah, at first it's not a big deal.
But
Then if you get more popular,
your blog goes viral,
exactly, then you're going to need more.
and Bluehost might not be able to keep up.
This is possible, yeah.
Okay. And their customer support.
Oh, they're helpful.
Okay.
But I've heard some mixed things.
Interesting.
It's not as consistently good as SiteGrounds, I would say.
All right. So maybe not quite as much hand-holding once you're past that initial setup phase.
Yeah, you're kind of on your own a bit more.
All right. Now, what about SiteGround? What are their downsides?
Well, the biggest one is probably the price.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
That was coming.
It's more expensive, especially after those first, you know,
The introductory rates?
yeah, those really low prices to suck you in.
Exactly.
But then they go up.
And you're paying a premium.
You are, but you're getting premium features.
You get what you pay for. So it really comes down to your needs and your budget, right?
It does.
If you need that extra power, you got to be willing to shell out a bit more. Any other downsides to SiteGround that we should be aware of?
I'd say the learning curve is a little steeper.
Okay.
Their interface is really powerful, but
It can be overwhelming.
it can be if you're not used to that kind of thing.
Like if you're not a tech person,
Exactly. Yeah.
Bluehost might be a little easier to grasp. Okay, so we've got a good sense of what each service offers and who they might be good for.
A good overview, I think.
All right, so we've talked about, the general vibe of each platform. But now I think it's time to get into the nitty-gritty.
Let's do it.
And let's start with something that should be top of mind for any website owner: security.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Huge, because, in the digital world, it's like choosing a good lock for your front door.
You don't want just anyone walking in.
So what are we looking at here in terms of the security measures that Bluehost and SiteGround offer?
Well, both of them cover the basics, like free SSL certificates.
Okay, so that's the standard these days, right?
Pretty much, it's like that basic level of protection.
It encrypts a connection, keeps information safe.
Exactly. So, shoppers can feel confident entering their credit card details and all that.
Right, essential for e-commerce.
Absolutely. But we also know that in this day and age,
You need more than just the basics.
you got to go beyond that.
Yeah, what about those extra layers of protection?
Well, that's where SiteGround really steps up their game.
Okay, tell me more.
They offer these daily backups.
Oh, wow. So it's like a rewind button for your website.
Exactly. Anything goes wrong, you can just restore it.
That is peace of mind right there.
Oh, yeah, especially if your website is like your livelihood, you know?
If your business depends on it, you don't want to lose everything.
And on top of that, they have really advanced firewalls,
So they're serious about blocking malicious traffic.
like a security guard at the door.
Right. They're screening everybody, making sure only the good guys get in.
Exactly. They're being proactive about security.
Okay, so SiteGround sounds pretty impressive on the security front. What about Bluehost? Are they lagging behind?
Well, I wouldn't say they're ignoring it completely.
Okay.
They do offer some extra security features.
Look, but they're not free.
Yeah, they come at an extra cost.
So it's like add-ons.
Exactly. You got to pay extra if you want that higher level of protection.
And is it as good as what SiteGround offers?
I'd say it's not quite as robust or as seamlessly integrated.
Gotcha. So with Bluehost, you might end up spending a bit more to get that same level of security.
That's something to keep in mind for sure.
Okay, so we've talked about security. Let's move on to another crucial factor, speed.
Nobody wants to wait around for a website to load. It's like watching paint dry.
The internet equivalent.
Exactly.
So who takes the crown in the speed department?
Well, SiteGround is known for being pretty speedy.
They've got a reputation.
They do.
What's their secret?
They're using Google Cloud servers, for one thing.
Oh, wow. So top-of-the-line infrastructure.
And they've got some fancy caching technologies going on.
Caching, for people who don't know, it basically helps your website load faster, right?
It stores copies of your web pages so they can be delivered more quickly.
Like instant delivery. So they've really optimized for performance right from the start.
They've made it a priority.
Now, what about Bluehost? Are they bringing up the rear in this speed race?
You know, for a basic website, their speeds are actually decent.
Okay.
It's when you start getting into more complex websites.
With lots of images, videos, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Or if you're getting a lot of traffic,
That's when you might start to notice a difference.
you might hit some bottlenecks.
So if speed is absolutely essential for you,
Like if you're running an e-commerce site,
yeah, or anything where user experience is key,
then SiteGround is probably worth that extra investment.
they're the speed demons.
For sure.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about something that's super relevant to a lot of website owners. WordPress,
Ah, WordPress.
the king of content management systems.
The most popular one out there.
So how do these two platforms handle the WordPress world?
Well, both Bluehost and SiteGround are officially recommended by WordPress.
Okay, so that's a good sign right off the bat.
Definitely a stamp of approval.
But how do they each cater to WordPress users?
Well, Bluehost is all about making WordPress really accessible.
Yeah.
They have that one-click installation we talked about earlier.
Right, super easy to get started.
And their interface is very user-friendly.
So for someone who's brand new to WordPress,
Bluehost holds your hand through the process.
nice. So they make it less daunting.
Exactly.
Now, what about SiteGround? Are they taking a more hands-off approach?
Not at all, actually. They offer what's called managed WordPress hosting.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means they handle a lot of the technical stuff behind the scenes for you.
So you don't have to be a tech expert. What kind of things are they taking care of?
Things like automatic updates, security monitoring, performance optimizations.
So it's like having a dedicated team working on your WordPress site,
It's like having a pit crew.
making sure everything's running smoothly. That sounds pretty amazing, especially if you're not super techy.
It takes a lot of the stress out of it.
But I'm guessing this comes at a price.
Of course, SiteGround's managed WordPress hosting is definitely more expensive than Bluehost's basic WordPress plans.
There it is again, that trade-off.
You gotta weigh the costs and benefits.
So let's dig a little deeper into the WordPress specifics.
Okay.
What are some of the features that each platform offers?
Well, Bluehost has this new feature called Wondersuite.
Wondersuite. That sounds intriguing.
It's pretty cool. It's basically a step-by-step guide to building your website.
So it walks you through the whole process.
Exactly. Choosing a theme, customizing your design, adding content, all of that.
Very beginner-friendly.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, now what about SiteGround? What's their standout feature?
They have a plugin called SG Optimizer.
SG Optimizer.
It's specifically designed to boost WordPress performance.
Okay, so it's like a performance-enhancing supplement for your website.
Exactly. It handles things like caching, image optimization, database cleanup, all that good stuff.
So it helps your site load faster and run more efficiently. Okay, we've covered security, speed, and WordPress. Anything else we should compare before we wrap things up?
I think customer support is worth mentioning,
Oh, customer support. That lifeline we all need sometimes.
especially when technology decides to act up.
when you're pulling your hair out trying to figure out what's wrong.
And in this area, SiteGround really shines.
They're known for good customer service.
They are. Their support team is consistently praised for being responsive, knowledgeable, helpful.
Like the tech support superheroes.
Swooping in to save the day.
I love it.
They offer 24/7 support, phone, chat, email.
So no matter what time zone you're in, they've got you covered.
Exactly. And their agents are really good at resolving issues quickly.
That's what you want. You don't want to be stuck waiting forever.
Now, Bluehost's customer support isn't bad.
No.
They also offer 24/7 support.
But they're not as highly rated.
They don't quite have that same stellar reputation.
So with Bluehost, you might have to be prepared for a little more hold music or a few more back and forth emails.
Possibly, but they generally get the job done.
Okay, so it sounds like SiteGround takes the cake for customer support, but Bluehost is still decent.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
All right, I think we've given our listeners a pretty comprehensive overview of Bluehost versus SiteGround. We've talked about features, pros and cons, and those areas where each platform really excels.
We've given them the information. Now it's up to them to decide which path they want to take.
Exactly. Which one is the right fit for their needs?
Because there's no one right answer, it really depends on your individual situation.
But now comes the hard part, choosing between them.
The moment of truth.
So before we send you off to make that decision,
Let's recap.
yeah, let's go over some of the key points to consider. Okay, first and foremost,
Your budget.
always a big factor because web hosting isn't a one-time thing, right?
Right, it's a subscription.
You're going to be paying for it month after month.
So you got to factor that into your costs.
Absolutely. So if you're on a tight budget
Bluehost is probably going to be more appealing.
with those low introductory rates,
Yeah, they really hook you in with those,
but you might have to sacrifice some things.
like performance or features.
That's the trade-off.
You get what you pay for. With SiteGround, you're paying more, but you're getting more.
You're getting that premium experience.
Top-notch performance, excellent support, robust features.
So it really comes down to your priorities.
What's most important to you?
Is it affordability or is it getting all the bells and whistles?
That's the question.
Okay, next up, your tech skills.
Your comfort level with technology. Bluehost is going to be a lot easier to get started with.
They hold your hand through the whole process.
Yeah, their interface is super intuitive, very user-friendly.
But if you're more tech savvy,
If you like to tinker under the hood,
SiteGround gives you a lot more control.
you can really customize everything.
They give you the tools to fine-tune your website.
And if you're into that, it can be really rewarding.
Absolutely.
So it depends on your personality, too.
Do you like things to be simple or do you like to have lots of options?
It's all about preference.
Okay, and then there's the question of what you're actually planning to do with your website.
What's the purpose?
Is it a simple blog, a small business website?
Bluehost might be totally fine for that.
If you're not expecting a ton of traffic,
But if you're running a complex website,
e-commerce, lots of multimedia, that kind of thing,
you're going to want SiteGround's power.
they're built for handling those demanding websites.
They can handle those traffic surges.
Keep everything running smoothly. And of course, we can't forget about security.
Super important.
If you're dealing with sensitive data,
Customer information, credit card numbers.
you want to make sure your website is Fort Knox,
And SiteGround really takes security seriously.
daily backups, advanced firewalls, AI-powered security measures.
They've thought of everything.
So if security is a top priority for you,
SiteGround is the way to go.
and finally, there's customer support.
That lifeline we all need sometimes.
When you run into a problem and you just can't figure it out.
You want someone to be there to help you.
And SiteGround has a reputation for having amazing customer support.
Their team is responsive, knowledgeable, and really helpful. They go above and beyond to solve your problems.
So that's another point in their favor.
For sure.
All right, so there you have it.
The ultimate showdown.
Bluehost versus SiteGround.
We've given you all the information.
Now it's time to make your choice. And remember, there are links to both Bluehost and SiteGround in the episode description.
So you can check them out for yourself.
Compare their plans, see which one feels like the best fit.
And don't hesitate to reach out to their sales or support teams if you have any questions.
They're there to help. And most importantly,
Have fun.
yeah, have fun building your website and sharing your message with the world.
That's what it's all about.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of web hosting.
We'll see you next time.